Let's talk money. I just published my debut novel, Hunting Vienna, a young adult contemporary adventure mystery novel, on November 6th. I am an indie author, which means I self-published my book, and if you want to hear all the reasons why I decided to do so, do let me know in the comment section below and I can make an entirely separate video on that. But essentially it means that I had to front my own money in order to make this happen. I had to find and hire professionals to help me make this a reality, and then I used a bunch of services and tools that I had to pay for, and we'll get into everything. But it's an investment. All I want to say is that, this is an investment for my writing career, and I'll let you know at the end of this video whether I made my money back. I just want to mention that your mileage may vary. Just because I spent all of this and on all the things that I'm going to tell you doesn't mean that you have to spend this much on your book. I'm not saying you have to spend any amount on your book. That is completely your choice. Every author is different, every book is different, every budget is different. I just want to share how much I spent on publishing Hunting Vienna. So without further ado, I have a list in my little notebook of everything that I paid for. Let me just find it, and I'll also put it up on the screen so you can see, and then we can find out together how much I spent on publishing my debut novel. So there are a couple things I'm not sure if I should include, and there are things that I will mention that I won't include in my total, and I'll tell you why. So first of all, let's go over things I'm not going to include. Things like the hosting and domain services for my website. I've had this website for years and years before I published this novel. I'm not going to put this sum against my debut novel because I don't think it's fair towards my debut novel. Also, things like Photoshop. I have a Adobe subscription, monthly subscription, mainly using it for Photoshop, but I also edit the thumbnails for my videos with Photoshop, and I do so many other things with Photoshop, so I don't want to put that against my debut novel as well. And also because it's a monthly subscription, that's also very hard to estimate. How much of that subscription have I used to create the cover for my novel, because I designed my own cover, which I'll get into later, but I did use Photoshop to help me design the cover for this book, but I also use it for so many other things, so I'm not going to put that against the sum for my debut novel. The one thing I'm not entirely sure if I should put against the sum is Vellum. Now, Vellum is a book formatting software, and I paid the full sum for this. It was $300 or so a few years ago, but I'm gonna use this to format all of my books, all of my future books. I've already used it to format all of my proof copies for all the other books that I finished the first draft of, which I plan on publishing in the future. And so again, I'm not sure how to count this, because yes, I have used Vellum to format to publish this book, but again, I don't think it's fair to put the entirety of those $300 up against my debut novel, since that should be split over the course of my entire backlist, of my entire author journey. So I might put some of it up against Hunting Vienna, I might not. I'll put all the calculations up on this side of the screen so you can see. But that one, I'm not sure. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think, if I should put that against my first book, or if I should, put it just against my entire writing career, which will be all the other books that I'll publish soon in the future. Okay, so those, I think, are all the things I'm unsure about, or I'm not going to put up against my debut novel. So now let me tell you what I did actually spend specifically to publish Hunting Vienna. First of all, line edits. This is the most expensive part of the publishing process for me personally. This is what I spend the most money on. I had 2 different rounds of edits, and the first round of edits was line edits. So the total for my line edits was $714.21. I'll put this in US dollars just because that's more general. Disregarding what currency I actually used, everything is converted to USD. Second round of edits I had were copy edits, and that cost 203 USD. So these two things combined was just the edit for my novel was absolutely the most expensive, but I would pay this money every day. It made my book so much better, and I just think if you are going to spend money publishing your book on something, it should be edits and your cover. Those are the two things I think you absolutely need to spend money on, unless you have some graphic design skills, which I will get into. To publish, to actually put the book up on the different vendor sites, Amazon is completely free. I don't have to pay anything to publish with Amazon. That is fantastic. However, I also publish with Ingram Spark for wide distribution. And now Ingram actually recently changed so that they used to have a fee to actually upload your book to them. Thankfully, they got rid of that. What they didn't get rid of, however, is the revision fee. And unfortunately, I did have to make a revision after my book was live to Ingram Spark because I realized a stupid mistake that I had to fix. And so I spent 50 USD on revising both the interior and the exterior because I also had a tweak to do on the cover, so I thought might as well do it all in one. That was $25 for revising the manuscript and $25 for revising the cover. This is the huge downside with Ingram Spark. Their revision fees are just... Why? Amazon is free. So let's talk cover design. This is the cover for Hunting Vienna, and I actually designed this cover myself. I have graphic design experience. I have just general art and illustration experience. So I drew all the elements of this book myself in Procreate. The first thing I will put up against this book is Procreate. This is an app on your iPad. It's a drawing app, and it's a one-time fee of $12.99. And I use that to draw all the illustrations for the cover, back, and inside the book, and for many other things, but I will put that up against Hunting Vienna because that is one way how I designed my cover. The other is Photoshop, but again, I also use Photoshop for many other things. However, I also paid for copyright licenses for the fonts that I use on the cover and everything, which I will put up here because I don't have the number on my piece of paper, but I will put it up here. And so altogether, the cover design for me was Procreate and the different sort of licensing to use the different fonts for my cover. But fortunately, like I said, I was able to design my own cover. Now, this is not true for most people, and I would urge you, if you don't have the experience that I have, if you're not comfortable making your own cover, don't. Just pay a professional to do it. That is the one thing I urge you to do, because your cover is the first thing that readers see, and that will base most of their decision whether or not they want to even look further into your book. So definitely pay that money for the cover design if you don't have the skills to do it yourself. Then proof copies. I bought quite a lot of proof copies because over the course of creating this book, I have different proof copies. I have a very old proof copy for when it was a completely different draft, and then I have proof copies for when I actually did the proofreading. And when I changed something on the cover, again, I wanted to see how that turned out. And so in total, I spent $70.42 on proof copies, both from Amazon KDP and Ingram Spark, and I think that's a total of 4 proof copies. The Ingram Spark proof copy was very, very expensive to get. The 3 I bought from Amazon altogether was okay. And you don't need to get all these proof copies. It just depends what your process is. I just like getting proof copies of my books because I like seeing them even before they are even close to ready for publication. But again, that's just something I decided to spend money on. You don't have to. Author copies. So after the book is published or before the book is published, you can then order author copies, which are finished versions of your book. You just pay less because you can order them in bulk directly from the printer. And I bought 15 copies from Ingram Spark and 15 copies from Amazon KDP, and in total that was $220.97. cents for author copies. Now, I hope to sell these author copies in the future and make that money back and more, but this is what I spent up front, so I will count it. I also designed and ordered some bookmarks that go with my book, but I ordered 100 copies, and again, the design I did myself, and that came to $37.37. I also want to mention, in Denmark, I have to pay a kind of book tax for registering my ISBNs, and for a mandatory delivery to the Danish Royal Library, you have to send 2 copies to the Danish Royal Library and then 2 copies to register your ISBN. I got into that into a different video. You can check that up here if you want to hear the reasoning behind that. But basically that comes to 4 author copies plus shipping and delivery, which I'm not entirely sure what that will be as of right now, but that is $28.53 for those 4 author copies that I bought straight from the printer plus shipping from the printer. Okay, those I have to send out, and I'm not gonna get my money back for those. I can't sell those are just given away. But basically that's how I pay for my ISBNs and for publishing a book in Denmark, I guess. It's book tax. Anyway, again, you probably won't have to pay this. Okay, and then the last thing I have written here is ARC reviews. So for my ARCs, for advanced reader copies, to get some reviews, I use Book Sirens, and they have a initial upload fee of $10 and then $2 per reader that they find to download your book. Now, I'm gonna make an entire video about just how I use Book Sirens and if I got reviews. Spoiler, I didn't really. But anyway, this is the whole so far that I spent to have my book up on Book Sirens and to get people to download it. Whether they leave a review or not, that's a different story, but this is how much that cost. And I'm pretty sure that's everything. That's everything I have written down. The only thing is I have to calculate the total now. So bear with me a second, because I actually need to check how much Book Sirens took from my bank account. The total for what I spent to publish Hunting Vienna, my debut novel, comes up to $1,358.96. Yeah, that is what I spent. Depending on how you see that, that might be either very little or a lot. I've definitely seen authors spend way more, and also way less. Did I need to spend all this money to publish Hunting Vienna? No, absolutely not. And next time I'll definitely cut some corners for sure, but this is just what I spent. Now, the question is, have I made this money back? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Granted, my book hasn't been out for all that long, but of course not. I haven't made this money back, not even close. But that's not the point. The point wasn't to make this money back right away. Of course, ideally, yes, I want to make this money back as soon as possible, and I'll count everything else as profit on top of that. But this is my first book, and this is an investment into my writing career, and so a lot of this is ensuring that I published a quality book that represents me, you know, as the author as best as I can with the budget that I have. However, I'm happy I spent this money, because I would not have had this book the way it is otherwise, and I'm very proud of this book. But yeah, that just goes to show you, you know, you don't make a lot of money, especially as a debut author with just one book out. It can take quite a long time to make your money back, and so it's usually not a great idea to spend too much money to publish your first book, because the chances are you'll never make that money back with your first book. Yes, but that was it. That was how much I spent on publishing my debut novel. I hope this video was helpful and informative, and if you want to help me make some of this money back, link in the description to Hunting Vienna if you want to check it out for yourself or for someone you know who might enjoy it. The holidays are coming up, and I think it will make a great gift. Just saying. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time with a new video. Bye.